Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new NVIDIA daily update video. So today, as per usual, let's talk about NVIDIA. Let's talk about what is happening to NVIDIA. Getting a decent pop today, unfortunately gave back a majority of it down, or rather up only 0.2% on the day. So pretty humble day today for the most part, but pretty constructive nonetheless. So let's go over the stock. I'll give you my thoughts on what's happening, what I think can happen next, and the key levels to watch out for. If you enjoy, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. And of course, if you enjoy my technical analysis, thoughts on the charts, well, again, guys, I do have a YouTube membership section where, again, I have it's a private section where I share all my thoughts, posts, updates, options flow, technical analysis, etc. every single day as the market is open. So, understand that there. Quickly pause the video here. I want to show you guys how to go to it if this YouTube understand that function. There we go. The bottom of the description, right? Open the description up at the very top of the description. I should say there's a link. Click on that thing. It gives you access to the option to subscribe if you wish. $3 a month for the first year. All my Tesla updates, broader market updates, etc. $3 a month. $5 a month includes Nvidia in there as well. $7 a month includes everything else. Non-Tesla, non-Nvidia, non-broader market updates, other stocks that I talk about, other things that tickers that I mentioned essentially that are worth monitoring, that have nice setups. KRWV I was talking about, I talked about Take-Two Interactive, Hood I mentioned to my members a couple of days ago, Crowd, Intel, all these setups. JOBY was actually yesterday up 13% today. Oh no, 2 days ago, up 13% today. Again, all these setups are there. I would love to have you in that tier 3 if you're interested. But yeah, jumping into it, Nvidia closing the day again 0.2%. So what does this actually mean moving forward for the stock, right? Is the stock bullish? Is it not bullish? Is it good? Is it not good, right? Where is it going next? Is it about to reject? Is it about to go bearish? Well, the pennant is still setting up, right? Obviously, we had this bullish head and shoulders pattern that I called out, which ended up bouncing right away from it. We had this nice gap down into a gap up, which is all good stuff. Now we're obviously in this kind of pennant, right? This is the main thing to watch for moving forward, right? If the pennant breaks to the upside and we start getting daily closures, more importantly, above the pennant, that's going to be a good sign. And that would give bulls potential fuel to break past this green Fibonacci's at 181 that I've been talking about for quite some time. That the bulls, in my opinion, really need to get past, because that would start arguably changing the structure back into bullish structure from lower lows, lower highs to now potentially a fresh higher high. And that would be a good change of direction for the bulls, right? So that's something to, in my opinion, really watch for moving forward, right? You can see the green Fibonacci's towards the top there. But the bulls need a breakout, right? They need a breakout above this pennant, right? If they can get that, that'll be very good. So essentially above even 2 days high would be already a good start to get a nice tap on 181. But this buildup, this pressure that's developing in this bullish pennant, if it breaks out to the north side, can be that pressure that's needed to, again, break past, in my opinion, a pretty key resistance level right now, again, around 181 roughly, right? So that's going to be the main levels to watch out for to the upside, to watch for a breakout of this pennant to test a key resistance level. If bulls can break past this, then I think fresh all-time highs and probably well above that is likely. But we need two things to happen: the breakout here and the break here. Very, very important in my opinion, because we can still get a breakout and ends up being a massive liquidity sweep, and then we just get a flush. That's always a possibility. So it's worth watching for both of those key levels, in my opinion. To the downside, right? What's the support levels, for instance, right? Well, the first support level is right around the green and red fibs, or not the EMAs, the 921, around 174 to about 175. That's the key support right now. That is a level to watch for, roughly where this trend line is sitting right here. You can see, right? So let's continue watching for that as support, right? If the bulls can, continue holding that, that will be a good sign. Maybe get a small retrace, maybe early next week into a push higher. That's going to be the bullish sign. However, if we start losing this level again, it's going to be a choppy situation that, would most likely mean that we get a retest of the 50 EMA and the bottom of this pennant, which is going to be around 170-ish, right? Give or take, of course. That would be a test of that. But if we break below this pennant, if we start breaking below 169 to 170, which we didn't here, but we got close, but we held. But if we start losing that level, closing daily candles below that level, then in my opinion, we most likely get a rejection and we make our way down to my 150 target to the downside. So the point I'm trying to make is the fact that Nvidia is setting up, right? It is setting up pretty nicely here. It's setting up something potentially, a bigger move is absolutely building up. So let's see if, this actually happens, if this occurs, or how it plays out, which levels get broken. Very important to have patience when it comes to these kind of scenarios. I do like the green volume. I like the fact that the last 2 days, the volume here was pretty high too. So, but I like today's volume being a little bit higher. So that's a good sign. So, the bulls are, they're trying to come back with a vengeance here. Absolutely. But we need those key levels to get broken for the bulls to get an actual move to the upside. Because the idea is we want to also avoid traps. We want to become the liquidity that the market uses to essentially reverse substantially, right? Markets love doing that. As an example, Netflix was 2 trades. Well, I actually missed one of them. I did get the second trade, but Netflix is a good example, right? Look at this level over here, a massive area of supports, you would think. And then Netflix, what did it do? It snapped right under it. But as it went down under, ended up reversing higher, closed higher, and then all the people that had stop losses underneath this level right here, they got triggered. Congratulations, you became liquidity, and it reversed higher. Kind of the same thing happened right here on this candle. Pretty much the same thing happened. Massive liquidity sweep, and then now look at this. It's looking pretty damn good, right? And I played this move right here, personally speaking, because I figured it would be the same as this, and it was, right? Obviously, I did it after I saw the liquidity sweep. I didn't just buy down here praying. I saw this move up, and then I bought at the top of this candle, but ended up actually working out well, pretty well, didn't it, right? And this is kind of what I'm talking about when I mean daily closures, because if you just went off of intraday price action, sometimes it's good, and sometimes you get out lucky and less scathed than if you actually waited for the daily closure, because sometimes I can just keep going and going and going. There is that risk, but there's also the risk of being swept up like this, right? So that's kind of what I'm talking about when I was talking about Nvidia right now. You want to avoid being liquidity, right? You don't want to be the liquidity that the market uses to reverse higher or back up, essentially. And that's why, it's good to wait for those candle closures above key levels and holding above those key levels so that you don't become that person, right? It requires patience. It's sometimes a little bit more difficult, obviously, but it's an important thing to look for. There's a lot of examples. Maybe I can find another one eventually, but there's a lot of examples of where the market loves to do this kind of, these kind of liquidity sweeps. I mean, you can even argue Hood sort of did it right here, right? This little candle over here, people most likely had stops right here. Look at this little sweep, and then bam, right? Same idea, right? It's just the market loves doing these things. It's becoming more and more of a thing, and most people, it's harder to spot. Liquidity sweeps are more difficult to spot than not, and most people that don't really know trading that well, it's hard to see them coming, right? It's hard to see them coming, and it's very easy to get triggered by one. So just let it be a lesson that it's something worth watching, is what I'm trying to say. But all in all, that's kind of the main analysis I have on the daily time frame for Nvidia. Let's go very quickly to the market. Now the market, again, like I said, Qs are bullish, right? The Qs are bullish. We have these key levels right here that I'll quickly draw a little rectangle as well, just so we have it. This kind of, initial previous all-time high retest, we went higher, pretty simple stuff. But the market is, again, it's getting pretty extended once again. Getting a little bit far from the 9 EMA. But one thing I want to point your attention to on SPY especially is this post by Ben, right? He posted this today, actually, pretty good account. I definitely recommend checking him out. He doesn't post often, but the times he does, the posts are pretty good. In fact, I'm actually hedging against the market personally and consider this a freebie using BRKB, Berkshire Hathaway. In my opinion, I view it as a bit of a hedge against the market, because if the market has a bit of a weakness, I think this will actually perform pretty well, because as far as I'm aware, Berkshire is pretty heavy in cash right now, which is a good sign. So if the market has a downturn, that's technically positive for Berkshire, because that means that they're cash heavy, right? It's pretty obvious what that means in my opinion. So, and the chart's setting up pretty beautifully. So I did actually re-enter this position today as a hedge. But he kind of also mentions that he's now turning bearish on the market, because you can see the market bottomed at 666 during the great financial crisis, but it's now about to hit 6666. 900% gains since 2009 lows. I'm expecting a pullback from here around 660 for the first time, down to about 6,400 is what he's thinking. So it's about 640-ish on SPY, which could be a retest of this sort of previous all-time highs, like a stronger retest of this bigger region, or lower if we lose this trend line. That's something to watch for on the SPY, of course. But we still have that bearish divergence across the board. It's a bit less so right now because the market's pushing up so aggressively, actually more than I expected, to be honest. But nonetheless, we still have a little bit of a bearish divergence present across the board in the market, where the MACD is having trouble kind of believing this move, it feels like, right? So let's continue monitoring that. But until we start losing key levels on SPY, on Qs, like I said, Qs, for instance, the 9 EMA is the first one to watch for, right? Which is currently at around 590. So that's going to be the first level to watch for. If we lose that, a bit of a concern, then we can potentially get a stronger retest of the 21 EMA around 580, lose that. Then we have 575, lose that. Then we have 560, lose that. Then we have all the way down to actually previous all-time highs around 540. Those are the main levels, kind of stair-stepping downwards, where, if that one's lost, we go to the next one. That one's lost, we go to the next one. That one's lost, we go to the next one. Until obviously one of them ends up actually being a massive area of support. But as of right now, I still view the market, actually, I personally still view it as bullish until I see actual topping signs, especially in the Qs or SPY, which I'm personally not seeing just yet. Doesn't mean they can't develop maybe even as early as Monday, but with us entering again the weakest 2 weeks, in my opinion, or not my opinion, literally the weakest 2 months or 2 weeks of the year, which is the second half of September, maybe something gets shown on Monday even, right? There's always a possibility, so be ready for that just in case. You never really know. But as of today, I see nothing bearish about the market just yet. So let's continue monitoring it day by day and even week by week. But all in all, that's what I got for you guys. In terms of options flow, Nvidia, yeah, pretty slow day, to be honest. I mean, the bulls are still in control, but a bit of a slow day overall, in my opinion. So let's see what this develops into going into next week. But all in all, that's all I got for you guys. Let me know what you think down below. And as usual, I'll see you for the next one. Peace.